The chair hit the floor before I did. You don't belong at this table, Elena, Colonel Marcus Reed barked, loud enough for every metal in the room to clink in sympathy. Crystal froze mid-sip, forks hovered, and my dress blues suddenly felt 2 sizes too tight. I was Lieutenant Commander Elena Reed, Naval Special Warfare, but right then I was just the girl whose father had yanked the world out from under her. I never picked up my cover. It spun across the parquet and stopped against a stranger's boot. A hush swallowed the Norfolk Country Club ballroom, until a voice sliced it clean. She outranks every soul in here. A Marine major in midnight dress rose, eyes locked on my father. Lieutenant Commander Mang. He nodded once, crisp as a salute. Dad's knuckles went white around his whiskey glass. I didn't wait for the echo. I walked out, heels striking like rifle shots, and never looked back. That was the last time Colonel Marcus Reed spoke to his daughter as anything but an officer. I drove the hour to Dam Neck with the windows down, salt wind whipping the sting from my eyes. 26 years of chasing his shadow, 3 combat tours, the trident pinned to my chest with blood I'd never brag about, and it ended with a scraped chair. I kept replaying the moment. The smirk he wore when I was 12 and missed the bullseye, the same smirk at 36 while I wore the nation's gratitude on my sleeve. Home was a bare apartment above the gym. I hung my blouse, fingertips brushing the fruit salad of ribbons. Every citation mocked his voice. Standards are slipping. I poured water, sat on the bunk's edge, and stared at the woman in the mirror. She wasn't furious. She was done. Commander Alvarez, my old XO, now a mentor, called at 0600. Word travels at the speed of gossip in the teams. Don't let one small man shrink the ocean you sail, Reed. I thanked him, laced my boots, and hit the grinder. By Rep 20, the banquet was just another weight plate I'd already racked. Still running the Back Bay Trail at dusk, I scanned the empty bleachers out of habit. He used to sit there during high school track meets. Arms folded, jaw carved from granite, watching without clapping. He wasn't there now. He never would be again. Not the way I once needed. I opened my logbook that night and wrote one line. Asterisk, he took the chair. I kept the ground. Asterisk. Silence from Fredericksburg lasted 43 days. I stopped counting after that. New orders dropped. Hurricane Mara had gutted the Texas coast. I'd lead a tri-service task force, SEALs, Corpsmen, Army engineers, into the brown water. Perfect. Chaos doesn't leave room for ghosts. We touched down in Beaumont amid floating refrigerators and upside-down lives. The high school gym smelled of bleach and despair. For 72 hours I lived on 30-minute catnaps and MRE coffee. We hauled grandmothers from attics, patched levees with sandbags and prayers, ran IVs by headlamp. Day 4, a wall of water punched through an upstream berm. A deuce and a half flipped, pinning a 10-year-old beneath the axle. Nilo, nucimi. Idove. The current tasted of diesel and rot. I wormed under the truck, found the kid's pulse, cinched my belt above a compound fracture. When the medics took him, his mother's sob was the only thank you I needed. That night I leaned against a generator, scrolling contacts. Dad glowed under my thumb. I didn't call. What would I say? I pulled a child from the same flood you'd call soft duty? Instead I texted Alvarez. Asterisk mission holding. Team unbreakable. Asterisk. He fired back. Storm sort the anchors from the driftwood. 2 days later a civilian iPhone caught me lifting the boy into the evac van. The clip hit local news, then CNN. Navy SEAL saves child in epic rescue. I ducked every interview. Heroes don't pose, they reload. Back in Virginia, a voicemail from Mom waited. Your father saw the footage. Said you looked inevitable. Not praise. Not apology. But a crack in the marble. The DoD wanted a dog and pony and DC Alvarez twisted my arm. Stand there so the next generation remembers service isn't a hashtag. I stood. They pinned another medal I didn't polish. A reporter asked, "What drives you, Commander?" "Duty," I said. "Country's just the address where people live." She blinked. I walked off. A plain envelope waited in my box. No return address, block letters I'd know blindfolded. Asterisk saw the clip. You look like you belonged in the water. Navy's still not the Army, but you've done things I never imagined. MR. I folded it into my logbook beside the chair line. Operation Gulf Shield, Joint Exercise Florida Panhandle. I took 35 kids from 3 branches and turned them into 1 heartbeat. Day 6, a Marine gunny smirked when I corrected his breach plan. Problem, Sergeant? Just waiting for orders that don't come from a sailor, ma'am. I handed him the radio. Run comms for the flood sim. Save the most lives, you keep the headset. He saved 12. Afterward he found me by the ammo cans. Never served under a woman before. Time you did. By graduation, Marines saluted SEALs without thinking. That was the win. Sunset on the pier, Chief Petty Officer Hayes brought 2 mugs. Your old man spoke at my high school JROE. Said discipline was the only inheritance worth leaving. I laughed small. Guess it mutates. Or upgrades, he said. Mom's 75th birthday dragged me home. Dad greeted me on the porch in civvies, posture still ramrod. Commander. Colonel. Mom herded us inside before the standoff calcified. Dinner hummed with safe topics, azaleas, cholesterol, until the doorbell. Major Hayes, fresh from Quantico, bottle of Makers in hand. Best CO I ever had, sir. Dad's jaw flexed. Heroics don't make a soldier. Hayes didn't flinch. They do when kids breathe because of them. I excused myself to the porch. Dad followed. You always needed defenders. Correction isn't humiliation, Dad. He rubbed the back of his neck. When your mother was pregnant, I prayed for a son to carry the name. Got you instead. Never figured the manual. Mom's shout cut us short, glass shattering, her voice a blade. Richard, she's not your rival. She's your daughter. He looked slapped. We cleaned shards in silence. Hayes slipped out with a quiet, "You're the storm now, ma'am." Upstairs, my childhood room still smelled of mothballs and lost causes. Dad knocked. I see you in uniform and don't recognize the kid I raised. That's on me. I swallowed. Thank you. You're still my blood, he said. That's what terrifies me. 2 weeks later, Mom's landline lit my phone. Stroke. Mary Washington. Hurry. I made the drive in 51 minutes. Lights and sirens borrowed from a sympathetic MP. Dad looked swallowed by the bed. Tubes mapping new geography across his arms. Didn't think you'd come. Almost didn't. He tried a grin. It wobbled. Fair. Machines beeped like slow metronomes. He spoke first. I pushed you to break the way recruits break, so I could rebuild you my way. You just kept bending, kept rising. Every ribbon you earned shrank the world I thought I owned. The nurse, a petty officer with a tiny anchor tattoo, paused. My cousin's alive because of you, ma'am. Sector 7. Dad's eyes widened, continents shifting. I took his hand. There was always room, Dad. You just refused the seat. He squeezed, frail but deliberate. Still time to learn? While we're breathing. I slept in the vinyl chair. At 0200 he whispered. Trust isn't rebuilt by shouting over rubble. You sweep first. Then let's sweep, I answered. 6 months later I stood backstage at Annapolis, keynote on integrity. Nerves hummed like incoming fire. A cane tapped behind me. Dad, suit sharp, eyes clearer than I'd ever seen. Your mother threatened to hide my keys. I smiled. She's strategic. I took the stage. Cadets in white filled the hall like fresh snow. I told them about flood water, about teamwork, about the night someone told me I didn't belong. We don't deserve seats. We earn them by how we treat the powerless. In the back row, Dad levered himself up, slow, painful first. The room followed, chairs scraping in a single wave. He didn't salute. He simply stood, eyes locked on mine. My voice cracked on the final line. After, he waited by the exit. You stood, I said. Remembered how, thanks to you. We walked the quad in step for the first time. Leadership isn't being followed, he said. It's being trusted. You're a quick study. Had a hell of a teacher. He never walked without the cane again, but he walked. Volunteered at the VFW. Taught veterans to interview. Listened more than he lectured. He'd call after. Used your line about standing when it counts. Idelao. Royalty-free. One spring morning he left a voicemail, voice paper thin. You made me proud, Elena. Never thought I'd get to say it. I saved it. Played it on repeat the day the machine stopped. At Arlington, my seals formed the honor guard. Mom pressed the folded flag into my hands. He built rules. You built meaning. Under the oak, I whispered. You finally sat beside me, Dad. Just took the long way. The Naval Academy now awards the Colonel Marcus Reed Legacy Scholarship. The plaque reads, asterisk to those who rise for purpose, not power. Dignity outguns pride. Asterisk. I visit when I lecture. Cadets pause, read. Some nod like they already know the weight. Tonight the Atlantic breathes steady beyond my porch. Dad's flag rests beside my cover. 2 services, 1 table. I raise my coffee the way he raised his bourbon. To you, Dad. We both stood. If you've ever had your chair yanked away, stand anyway. Keep your spine, keep your silence, keep your honor. One day the room will rise when you enter. Not for what you demand, but for who you refuse to stop becoming. Share this with someone still waiting for their chair to be offered back. There are more stories where this came from. Stay with Honor Line.